All right, and we're live. So I've got here with me, it's Ebony Muller, isn't it?
Muller, yeah.
Muller. All right, Muller. And you're doing the Fringe show. What is it? Love me, please love me, or sad disco, isn't it?
Yeah, Love Me, Please Love Me or Sad Space.
Okay. Now, when I hear that, and I was reading the description, that to me it
hmm
sounded a lot like a bunch of people in their lounge rooms with like a half deflated helium balloon, smoking a cigarette, with Saint Vincent's slow disco playing in the background, and they've got on like sad clown makeup, which when you watch it. When you see it, it makes sense because it's like, yeah, they look all sad. They're going to be a sad clown, but then you're like, hang on, did they know that they were going to be sad when they started this? So why did they even bother? Something like from a mid 2000s like emo film clip that falls apart the second that you think about it. Now,
hmm
am I incredibly wrong there? Because I sound like I'm incredibly wrong.
A little bit off, but I like the aesthetic vibes you're going for. So it's a virtual kind of nightclub, live streamed on Digital Fringe, and we'll be streaming from a venue, and we've got kind of pretty, I guess, kitschy disco setup. So we've got like disco balls, kind of metallic purple streamer curtain and DJ booth and all these kinds of fun things, are kind of purples, pinks, blues, reds. It's kind of the color scheme I'm going for. And basically, it's just sort of simulating an online club that only plays sad music and really specifically just music that's sort of about unrequited love or love lost or heartbreak and things like that. So yeah, there's myself and another performer, Oscar Rivez, and we'll kind of be sharing the DJ role. And you can just kind of join in from, you can join in from your living room with a glass of wine in bed. Everyone who joins in won't be on video, but there will be a chat. So everyone can kind of chat together and we'll kind of be asking the audience some questions, things like that.
All right, that's
But, someone could be joining in as a sad clown from their living room if
but the
that's
thing is that you'll
their
never
vibe.
know.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Exactly. Well, hopefully some people will tell us what it is that they're doing in the chat, but yeah,
okay. So
we kind of wanted to keep it private, like that people's video, like it wouldn't be like a Zoom group meeting or something, because I really wanted, yeah, that people could just be kind of doing whatever or crying or like having whatever kind of intimate moment they were having and still enjoying, um, sort of our live stream.
So finally, people can be crying in the club right now from the comfort of their own home.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it.
That sounds like the dream of a lot of people. So
Yeah.
since you're DJing it, what sort of music are you going to be playing?
So there's four performances, and each performance has a different theme. So the first night, opening night, Thursday, the 19th, is Depressing Divas. So we kind of got, like your Adele and your Whitney Houston, kind of like um, big famous ballads and some other ones as well. And then our second night, Friday night, is Boys Do Cry. So we've got a lot of boy bands, a lot of those kind of heartbreak songs.
All the soft
The
boys.
third, yeah, yeah, a bit of a mix, but yeah. And the third session, which is the Saturday matinee, is rhythm and the blues. So a lot of like R&B and soul and kind of in that region. And then the final Saturday night is rock ballads. So they're kind of big, heartbreaky, belty out.
And for things like Adele, is that going to be like the just the regular version, or are you gonna remix it yourself and put a bit more drum and bass in the back of it?
No, yeah, it's just a regular version. So each session is like 3 hours long. So we've kind of like I've kind of curated a playlist specifically for it. But yeah, it's just original versions and with some we've got like some pretty awesome visuals as well that we've kind of been preparing to kind of I guess like frame the what the audience is seeing a bit and get them to kind of, I don't know, be transported a little bit into a bit of a sad nightclub vibe.
So there's more emphasis on the sad than the disco.
Yeah, exactly.
And I imagine that it's just isolation was a big part of what brought this on. The sense that you can't,
Well,
yeah, that you can't go anywhere. Or?
well, funnily enough, no, it actually wasn't. I kind of started coming up with this idea last year, or about like over a year ago now. And I was actually in Europe at the time. I was at a festival, a dance festival, but not a like a contemporary dance festival, like a performance festival in Boston. And there was just a song that kind of started off.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I was worried it was me for a second, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do in this situation.
All right. It seems like we're good. It's still streaming. We're all still here. It's still going on. Let me just double check and make sure. Seems like it's still going. Let me just check stream time. Manage live. The live count. Is that going up? Is that changing? Yeah, I just really want to make sure this is still going. I've been having this problem. It's an ongoing thing. I was just unable to get actual internet at my place, so I've got one of those mobile broadband modems. It just likes to cut out every now and then, which
yeah, I used to have one of those. They're very frustrating.
All right, yeah, no, it's still going. It's still going. We haven't lost anything. It's all still seems to be working. All right, sorry about that. Now you were talking. You were talking about you were at a music festival and there was a bunch of bands that I haven't heard of, or not even bands, more musicians, DJs, and that I haven't heard of before, and that's what inspired the lonely disco, or sad disco, isn't it?
So I was at a dance festival, but like a contemporary dance festival, not a like a music dance festival, and it was just
of course. Of course, it would be a temporary dance festival. No festival can last forever.
Well, that's true as well. But yeah, I mean, dance is in, I guess, actual dance, not just people dancing to music. But yeah, it was just a song that came up in a work of a friend of mine, and that kind of it inspired me to kind of think up this idea. And I was saying before, I don't know if it got on the stream before it cut out, but it was very much intended to be an in-person thing, so an actual nightclub,
an actual sad
that would
disco.
only play, exactly, and sort of like like sort of part performance, but also part actual,
So the plan was to actually have a club that people could cry in on purpose as well, not just something that ended up happening over the course of the night.
Yeah, exactly. Intentional crying and not accidentally crying.
But instead, people have to cry in the comfort of their own home, which is probably bit too familiar for some people, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe it's better. Maybe people can get into it more. But yeah, I think live streaming has kind of brought in some new opportunities that I hadn't previously thought of, and I'm not really one to use a lot of technology or digital kind of. So I think it's been really interesting to play with. We've pre-recorded a lot of like things that we can cut away to, and we've kind of made this whole space in the venue I'm using, which is Base Creative Space over North, and it's like this old kind of warehouse vibe, and we've kind of made up a little kind of fake nightclub in the corner, and picked very specific aesthetic, and we can kind of cut away to specific things, and it's nice to just be able to play with all of these elements, and I guess curating the audience's eye a bit with kind of getting them to look in specific places as they listen to their sad songs, and are also kind of chilling at home or with friends or family, enjoying a drink or whatever. So I think it's worked out pretty well. It's been like a challenge, but I think it's been really nice for the work in a way, and kind of extended it
So
beyond.
is it going to be like a sad kind of half empty looking nightclub on the inside then? Since I imagine it'll just be the DJs.
Yeah, it's just the DJs. Like the space, we haven't made it too big. We don't want it to look too empty, but yeah, it is like, yeah, there's no other people in there, just the DJs. And we've got like, some little tables and chairs set up. We've got this really cool fridge that has like these like lovely kind of colors we've created. And yeah, like just a whole bunch of kind of fun things. We've got a lava lamp, things like that, which are really nice. And the disco ball, of course. And so, yeah, like we've got a turntable and yeah, just like all these kinds of things to
And that
make it
sounds
feel like there is a bit of a space happening.
that sounds like it's going to give it the feel of like when you find out a hot tip about a party and you go there and you're some of the only people there, and it's like even worse because you don't actually know anyone else, but it seems like too quiet and sad for you guys to leave, and you can't even do like what they call a French exit because it's so small that everybody's going to like know that you were there. So
yeah, and actually it is it's quite a lot like that. It's quite a lot like, I imagine for the audience, it's going to be a bit like just rocking up to a party and all is just like one DJ in the corner kind of just going for it. And they put up all these decorations. They've set up this whole space, but no one's really there. And yeah, then we've just got this kind of virtual chat where people kind of will be if they want to kind of contribute there. So yeah, I think it kind of adds to this like beautiful isolation and loneliness vibe, actually.
It's like you're hitting,
by not having people there.
You're hitting multiple levels of sad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we were originally just going for heartbreak, and now, yeah, we've hit some other ones with the current,
yeah, it's like you got
world.
Like you're gonna have like emotional with just the music that you're playing. You're gonna have like physical with the potential release of people crying, and then it's not really an emotion, but you can also have pitiful from almost more a social context of like just a live stream of an empty warehouse with purple lights and no one there dancing.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going for. So hopefully it translates and
yeah, like
people enjoy it.
if people were able to turn up, it almost feels like the setup for an episode of a sitcom.
Yeah, well, funny you say that actually, because we've been making a little intro to the work, which does feel a lot like a sitcom intro. And so I guess the kind of funny part about the work is that there is like a lot of satire to it, because it is kind of like funny, the idea of all of these sad songs and kind of juxtaposing that with the disco ball and with like the purple glitter curtains and all these things. And so we've kind of put these shots together.
So it's not just feel bad all the time.
No, yeah, there's like definitely an element of irony in it. I think I feel like the work can kind of laugh at itself, and the DJs kind of as well.
I think that's good too, because then the people who actually want to go there to be sad, if they feel a little embarrassed about it afterwards, they can always say they were just crying ironically.
Yeah, but also like if they're at home, then maybe no one will be seeing them, so it's all kind of okay.
Yeah,
whatever the response is.
And when if anyone has the unfortunate condition of living at home with their parents, if one of them comes in to see what all that noise is, you just tell them you don't get it. It's a joke. It's what all the kids are doing these days. Crying is the new laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And maybe that's true at the moment as well. Maybe crying is the new laughing, although maybe I think that's sort of slowly changing now anyway. But yeah. So there's definitely that element in it too, which I think it has kind of a few layers to it of, I guess, not taking itself too seriously, but also still being like a genuine space for kind of appreciating all of those feelings. So
it seems like you're leaving people enough space to take it however they want.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like that's what I generally like to do in the work that I make, like often quite open and I guess vague in the sense of conceptually quite specific, but how people can kind of relate to it is always kind of their own. Yeah, I quite like that.
Now,
giving people that agency.
one thing that I wanted to just bring up that I saw, not to dox you too much, but I did see that you emailed me from a university email address, and that you're
Yeah,
currently undergoing your PhD.
yeah, yeah.
And so
That
I'm
that is
interested
true.
in that you're doing it sort of more in the dance space, aren't you? So
Yes, yeah, in dance. So
how does one get
yeah,
a PhD in dance?
that
Is
is
that
a very popular question that I always
have I
get from
pronounced it right
people.
there? Dance, is that how they say it
Dance.
in the industry?
I think dance will do just fine, but no, you can say it however you want, however fancy you're feeling. But yeah, so it's where to begin? So I've been doing it now for almost 3 years. So I'm at the kind of end of my PhD, and I'm looking at dance improvisation practice and something called the ethics of care, which is like feminist moral theory.
Yeah, that was
And
your one of the works that you put on your YouTube channel. I uh,
yes, yeah,
I watched that. I do my research.
yeah, that was my first kind of foray into filming something. So that was just on my phone, and that was like really right at the start of isolation in maybe like April. And yeah, I'm also actually performing sort of another version of that same work tomorrow. Actually, well, it's been pre-recorded, but it will be performed at Philistine Live Festival tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So, and that's free and live streamed, which is cool.
Yes,
So
I
you can
did
check
see
that out as well.
that you had some other things going on on top of the sad disco for Fringe.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So that's also something that's happening. And that's, I guess, like quite a long ongoing project I've been working on for a few years now, and was kind of originally a group project. So I had a bunch of other performers, sort of non-dancers and dancers, and we all practiced together. But because of going into lockdown, that kind of became a solo work. So, and now is also becoming a digital work, which is really interesting.
Ah,
But yeah, so there's a lot of moving into the digital for me, which I guess is like pretty common with everyone and a lot of artists. But yeah, it's definitely a common thing at the moment with my work.
so with that care piece that you did, that went for 20 minutes, the video itself. Now is that like,
Yeah.
did you break out the step charts and did you choreograph that whole thing beforehand, or was that more improvised? How does that work?
Yeah, it's entirely improvised, but I follow like a specific structure which I've been developing over like these several years. So, um, yeah, like I guess within that structure, I can kind of do what I want, but basically the main premise is that I follow, I guess, sort of like an arc or a wave from kind of moving to moving and creating sound and continuing in some way and then coming back down to a point of stillness and silence. And I attend to kind of myself and where I'm at, but then where I'm at in relation to the space or what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, to like objects in the space as well. So there's quite a specific, I guess, core or structure, but what actually that looks like is very different each time it's performed or practiced because there's uh, lot of variance in what that could be.
And now it seems like that even when you're getting a PhD in dance, that there's still a lot of the practical side. I thought by the time you got to that stage of academic study, it's almost more about the theory of the thing that you're doing rather than actually doing the thing.
Yeah,
But
I mean, for PhDs in the creative arts, we do something called practice-led research. So that is kind of exactly what it sounds like. The practice leads the research, but I still have to write um, a big thesis. So like my thesis will still be about 50,000 words. So
yay, yay,
the
yay.
theory is still very, very, very important to the work. And like I said, that ethics of care is kind of my main theoretical framework for this sort of project. And I talk a lot about that and go really deep into all of those ideas of like what caring is and how that can kind of be applied, I guess, to dancing in the moment and what that kind of might mean. So yeah, so it's pretty. I think for me, it's pretty 50-50.
Ah, but I guess yeah, even though the views there on care are pretty small, probably more people are going to end up watching your actual dance performance than maybe reading your thesis. That's just how these things end up being in the academic world.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've presented some papers at some conferences, so a few people have listened to those, which is nice. But yeah, no, it's true. Probably more people will see the work, but the work is sort of a reflection of, I guess, the physical reflection of everything that I will be writing or have written about. So I guess it's just the embodied version of, I guess, all of those kind of theories of work. And they're just kind of, I guess, like two sides of the same coin in a way.
Now, when I watched Care as well, I just jumped straight in and I watched that without reading anything about it, and then I saw there was a few more details on what Care was and what it meant afterwards. Did I do that right, or should I have jumped in there with a bit more context beforehand?
I think it's fine. I mean, I guess like I was saying before, I'm pretty open with how I guess I approach like people watching my work. So I'm yeah, I don't think that was a wrong way to go about it. I think sometimes that's better because you kind of go in with no assumptions and then you get to read about what it was like after. And so I guess you're not applying what I've kind of understood it as onto the work. You get to also make your own um, imprints on what it is. And I think that's also really nice. Sometimes to not know. Um, I guess yeah, it probably depends on the work, but I think for me, yeah, I'm kind of not too faced either way, personally. I don't know what would have been a more enjoyable experience. Do you feel like it would have been better if you had read it beforehand?
Oh no, I think after I watched it that I felt like, yeah, no, that's pretty much kind of what I figured. But
Oh.
there was a few things like the changing of clothes and all that that I only
Mm-hmm.
sort of picked up on later, and I was like, oh yeah, no, that's a thing. And I saw,
Mm-hmm.
you had the two piles of clothes behind you initially, and before I knew that the changing into was part of it, I thought that was maybe more of just a framing device. It was almost like not so much goalposts, but to help lead the
Yeah.
eyes as you were dancing between them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. No, it kind of they also like worked well in that sense, I guess, for me setting up my camera. So it was kind of they did also kind of work as goalposts in a way, just spatially
Now,
serving
watching,
multiple purposes.
doing all that reading, and looking at you dance and seeing how good you are at it, got me thinking that I'm not a big dancer guy. I'm not really a big move around or do anything type guy either. That I'm not a really big just even go outside, leave the house type guy. But I was
Yeah.
wondering, being able to dance, that would be a nice thing to be able to do. Maybe I could shave off some of
Mm-hmm.
my Caucasianness if I was able to do that. But my biggest fear is that I don't want to be cringe when I dance. I want to be able to do based dancing straight off the bat. So would you have
Mm-hmm.
any tips for me? How can I avoid the cringe and dance based straight away?
I don't know. That's hard. I think like for me personally, like I think everyone can dance. So I don't think that uh I think like any kind of movement is sort of just like a lovely, beautiful experience, and it doesn't have to be this kind of amazing, aesthetically maybe pleasing thing to be, I guess, like worthwhile. But I think maybe trying to dance without music and seeing what your body can do might be useful, and trying to see like what your natural internal rhythms are before, I guess, maybe trying to follow something like music. I know a lot of people find music easier, and obviously, like as you would have seen in my work doesn't have music, which some people often find very uncomfortable. But yeah, I think maybe just like spending a bit of time with your body and moving it with, I guess, some kind of attention to what it is doing outside of just, walking around where all the things we have to do in our regular life. And I think that'll probably give you a little bit of a sense of body awareness that might maybe bring in less of that like cringe factor when maybe you're dancing in public.
You see, and
I don't know.
that's how I could tell that I was watching a pro at work. That you were doing all that dancing without any music. So I was like, yeah, this is how I can tell that she knows what she's doing. For usually people have a bit of that they've got to have that background music going on to help set things up. But you were able to just do it like without a net, almost, so to speak, and really just put yourself out there.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's like, there's definitely a time for music, but as well. But yeah, no, I often find that a lot more comfortable because I can just kind of follow what my body wants to do without being like constrained by sort of an external rhythm. But I guess also, maybe for your own dancing journey, I think just like putting on some music and maybe turning off the lights and just kind of dancing however you want, and maybe like just going full cringe and like letting it all out. Maybe that's also just a nice way to like embrace the cringe as your coolness or something. I don't think that's a bad thing.
To be cringe in the darkness where no one can see.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's
totally.
That is a good tip, and that's something that I was wondering. I get the vibe that your sort of dancing is very, very different to like the sort of traditional type of dance, or at least what people would regard it. So, what's the difference between what you do and something like Single Ladies? That when you're just in the club, just broke up, and what's your own little thing that you do?
Oh, I think I just kind of like feel where my body's at and where I'm at, like emotionally and yeah, physically, psychologically, spiritually, and I just follow that. There's no kind of choreographed routine. There's nothing that I need to remember. It's just all about like a feeling, I guess, feeling good and following that feeling with music if I'm in a club or something. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the essence of what all my work is about. Just following that kind of thing that makes you feel good or is kind of cathartic in some way.
So
yeah,
so I suppose it's that dancing is probably one of the truest conduits of vibes that we have out there.
That's nice. Yeah, yeah, totally.
So
I think it's really special. Yeah.
So there's not actually that much removed from what you're doing there for your PhD versus maybe when you were younger at your friend's place at a sleepover, putting on whatever was popular at the time. You're figuring out moves in front of the mirror to hit me baby one more time. That is there actually that much of a difference, or is it maybe more that you're just understanding what you're doing a bit more? Everything's still connected. You're just going a little bit quiet there. It says that you're talking. My internet seems to be working, but I can't hear you just at the moment, Ebony. What is... Audio still seems to be coming through. Let me just check settings here again real quick. Yep, everything's coming up right there. OBS isn't picking anything up. We might be having the occasional bit of technical difficulty again. Let's just see what's going on here. Hopefully that can get through, and we'll get Ebony back in a moment. Just right now, I am going to try figure out how to make this puzzle work. We'll see if we can get things resolved, and we'll see if by the end of this stream that I can become the least cringe and most based dancer that there is, even despite my genetic defect of being born white. That perhaps Ebony can help me work through that, and we can figure out a way that I can finally dance non-cringe out in the open, and I no longer have to hide my cringe in the dark. That once things get sorted out, we'll be good to go, and we'll be able to hear a bit more from Ebony when things come through. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I can kick her and add her again or something. Let's see. Ooh. I can kick her, but would it be rude to do that and then not let her back in? Can I let her back in? I'm quite new to this whole actual thing again myself. Says she's online. All right, let's try that. Sorry, Ebony. I'm going to do it. Ooh, where'd she go? Okay. Oh, phone's just popped up. Let's try again. You can just call people directly. Let's see. Ebony, can you hear me? Need your help, Ebony. I'm not a based dancer yet. We need to finish this conversation so I can become based and dance out in the open without worrying, without the fear of cringe. Need to know more about this sad disco. Need to figure out what the single ladies are doing, who let the dogs out, why we are chasing waterfalls. What has happened here? I'm losing it. We're slipping. We need to get the call back. Ebony, where are you?
Yep.
Oh, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thank God. I thought I would be, my dancing would be cringe for the rest of my life. So we're talking about how the dancing that you do, it's like the more advanced version of the front of the mirror at the sleepover. The one thing I was wondering especially when I was watching Care, that are there a lot of even in the high level dancing that you do, is there sort of almost like a bit of a vocabulary or some common dance moves that if I was a bit more familiar with dance that I'd be able to pick up on and be like, oh yeah, she's doing that, like a level above the sprinkler.
Not really moves. I mean, maybe just like I guess like particular aesthetics. Like in contemporary dance, people have quite particular training backgrounds. I guess maybe they've trained quite a lot in in ballet or in contemporary dance or in like somatic practices. So you can kind of see those things, I guess, in the work across, I guess, like the whole kind of discipline. But I don't think I don't think you would still be able to identify maybe specific moves or maybe a few things. Maybe actually now that I think about it, maybe a few things.
But
But
now with that, if I came into the PhD there and I broke out the sprinkler, now would I be laughed out of the room? Would you tell me like, get out of here with that sprinkler shit? You're an embarrassment to dance. What are you doing? This is for serious professionals. Or is the
I
sprinkler still very much accepted at those levels?
I think it's probably not accepted.
Ooh,
But I feel like in my space, I think I'd be pretty cool with it. But I feel like it probably depends whose space you're in. But I'd say generally no.
is
So I
this
guess there's still, yeah, I guess there's a sense of like dancing, I guess,
is this
in
more of
ways, I
a
guess,
is this a case of like that old like 9 out of 10 climate scientists agree that
yeah, maybe, maybe one of those.
that
Um,
where do you think you sit in terms of sprinkler acceptance? Are you in the minority, or do you think there's a cohort of dance enthusiasts who are still staunch advocates?
I don't know if they'd be staunch advocates, but I feel like there'd be a few people who are a fan of Sprinkler. Like, I think it would depend on the context, but I think you'd still get a few people. Maybe not the majority, but enough.
Now here's something that I wanted to ask you about. There was another dance move I was going to bring up, but I didn't know the name for it. You know that
Hmm.
dance move where you put one hand behind your head and then with your opposite hand you grab your ankle, bringing your leg up, and then the whole point of the move is to like try and bring your elbow and your knee together.
Yes,
Yes,
I don't know what that's called either, though.
really.
But I do know what you're referring to. Yeah.
That
No, I don't know what it's called.
interesting. I'm sure
I
that's something that
don't think I've ever tried to do that.
all the leading dance scientists are still trying to figure out exactly what that's called.
I'm sure people know, but yeah, maybe not dance theorists. Unless they're writing about it. I don't know. Depends what their research is about.
Maybe I've
But no,
just
I
maybe I figured out my thesis for when I do my
yeah,
PhD. That
yeah. It could be about I don't know, popular dance moves.
I was thinking I'd
Um,
just call it, be like, what TF this dance move called all the single white guys do.
that could be it. You could just investigate all of the different dances and find out where they come from and their history, how they were brought about.
Well, that might be a I could do insert a bit of intersectionality into dance and do an analysis of all the moves that single white guys do,
Oh yeah,
figuring out
yeah, definitely. That's really needed, of course,
figure
totally.
out what moves they do and just why.
Just why, yeah.
Yeah, why did you think that would be a good idea? Like, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, well, maybe that is a good question.
And that sort of ties into another thing that I saw. You incorporate a lot of different elements into your dance as well, and there's a lot of things around movement and ability, and even some feminism elements. So I was sort of curious
Hmm.
about that. Do you have any? Are there any influential figures in the feminism space, whether it's writers or potentially other dancers that you take influence from?
Um, I don't know, maybe not specifically. Um, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There are some. I mean, I like one of my favorite dancers is Miguel Gutierrez, who's an American choreographer, and
Ah,
his work,
Miguel.
yeah, his work is like definitely utilizes a lot of feminist theory and queer theory. Kind of think about his work, and yeah, he's someone that I really really um, enjoy. But yeah, I think like with my PhD, I've definitely taken I guess like the ethics of care as a feminist theory as a whole rather than specific theorists. I've kind of just like combined them all together, like it's like the best parts of everything that I sort of enjoy. Um, and
Well, I was getting some very maternal vibes from Care, even when I was watching it,
mhm.
and then when I read about it afterwards, I was like, "Yep, called it." Yeah, almost
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
almost like a twist ending that you only figure out reading about the movie afterwards. And I was like, yep, knew that one, saw that in there. And
Yeah, no, it's funny because it's not, I don't think it's something that I consciously think about a lot, but it's definitely a big part of the ethics of care, especially like early on in its I guess conceptualization. Um, but I personally don't really think about it too much that way, but there's definitely there yeah
I suppose
there are
something
really
like
big elements there, parallel.
care is always I guess, gendered, very feminine, almost by just default as well.
Yeah, exactly, and I guess that's why it's a feminist ethics because it's kind of stemming from those spaces. But yeah, I think um, those kinds of um, concepts that are kind of like deemed as feminine, I think can be just brought out into, or should just be brought out into all spaces as kind of just worthwhile things. But yeah, of course, it has that parallel to mothering or parenting, um, and yeah, there's very much a, I guess, a maternal connection with that, and where it kind of stems from in the way, I guess, in the work that like and labor that women have had to do for a long time.
Yeah, they always get lumped with the not so fun stuff, and then told that that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess yeah, the ethics of care is kind of saying that a lot of that stuff is, has all these worthwhile qualities. They're not just kind of, tasks. They have require, a lot of empathy and reflexivity and responsiveness, and that's what I kind of try to bring into my dancing when I improvise is those elements, and socially as well when I bring people together to try and work in a way that kind of emulates those that kind of an ethos.
And now I read on your website that you do a lot of work with people with disability in the dance space as well, and that's like that's your job.
Yeah, yeah, I teach dance to people with disabilities
Okay, so that's also
at
like that's like a proper like job, like you grab your briefcase and hat and you go do that, and you wait in line for the paycheck, and then the tax man comes and scrapes his bit off the top, like that sort of like job.
I mean, not really. Like my PhD is definitely still like my main focus. But yeah, I've worked there for several years now at BAM Art Thing, and I've taught lots of different classes across multiple years now, and yeah, it's a really nice place to be, and it definitely kind of like goes really well with concepts of care and the kind of ethos of empathy and also doing things for fun and enjoyment and things we were talking about before. So yeah, I think it's a really nice space for a lot of the things that I do in my research as well.
And I imagine a big part of that then as well is you know, as mentioned with you on your website again, the ideas of movement and different you know how people with the different skill sets, learning how to move in different ways, and I guess using the abilities that they have and seeing it not so much as a limitation,
Hmm.
and really
Yeah, totally.
overcoming some of those more, I guess, that you might say, those more established sort of expectations of what dance can be.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, that's I think yeah that is present in in my research, in my artistic work, and as well definitely in my work teaching as well. Yeah, that's pretty much the core of I think like all my philosophy with everything. So yeah, I guess like going back to your dancing that you might think is a bit cringe. I think like that these kind of external things that we kind of like lay onto stuff like dance. I think you know maybe there's a time and place for them, but I think it's really nice to move away from that and also just kind of view everyone as having all of these things that are capabilities and not limitations because movement is, well, I find movement really interesting no matter who it's coming from or how it's kind of enacted. So I think other people will do as well.
One thing I feel like I'm getting from you is that one person's cringe can be another person's based, so you shouldn't get too caught up in those labels.
Yeah, no, totally, totally. I think, yeah, I mean, and that's just like a matter of taste, I guess, like what you enjoy, which is kind of like everything in life. But yeah, I think yeah, yeah, if it's got the right audience, I'm sure there'll be people out there who love dancing that you might think is cringe or whatever, or it's still, something very useful and enjoyable and worthwhile for you personally, even if, you know, it doesn't really serve anyone else. I think that's also still really valid.
Now we're sort of just coming up on the close of things here.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking what we might do is we might do what I was talking about before. That I might put together a bit of a song, and let me
Okay.
know if this is the sort of thing that you would maybe play. Let's see. Now I'll
Play
stream.
my fringe work or
Yeah,
just okay.
or
Cool.
maybe it might even be something that you. I'll just put the resolution down low because we've already had some degrees of bandwidth problems. Let me just see.
Okay.
It's not coming up on stream, but that's all right. Now I just quickly before things kicked off, I laid down some preset drums, some preset bass lines, and a little bit of melody over the top. Tell me if you can hear this.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty.
Is that coming through at all?
No, not at the moment.
Let's see. Stream settings. It's not picking an audio source. No, if that's the case, I spent literally minutes on this.
Whole
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah, a little while ago I went on a real VST and samples buying binge, and I got waveform, all this stuff that goes with it, and I was going to use this as an excuse to actually figure out how to use some of it. And I put together a bit of something here. What's 140 as a BPM to you? Is that good for dancing? Is that too fast, too slow?
Oh, no idea. I never think of BPM to be honest. Yeah, not something I ever really think about.
You see, that's me. That I initially, I did that thing that a lot of people do, where initially I wanted to be more of a musician, and then that didn't quite work out. So I got into comedy, and then that hasn't worked out. So I've decided to take the very, very lucrative and successful path of streaming and internet content.
Yeah.
And I just figured out that if you just buy a bunch of MIDI stuff, like all the hard work's already done. Like you don't need to spend hours playing guitar. You can just drag and drop.
Oh, that's very cool.
Like, I swear to God, David Guetta, he's got the perfect grift. Like Avicii, R.I.P. to a king. But seriously, I get the appeal now.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Now, look, we're approaching the hour now, so I was just wondering. This is a good time to do plugs.
Oh yeah.
I've already got all of your details in the actual live stream here, but let me run over them and make sure that I haven't left anything out. So we've got I've got Melbourne Fringe, the event Love Me Please. Oh, hang on, let me just make sense of the syntax of this URL. Love me, please, love me, or sad space. Does that sound right?
Yes, that is right.
Now I've also got the link to your website, ebonymuller.com, your Facebook page, and so love me, please love me. It's much easier to say with the comma in there, or sad space.
Yeah.
Now you're running from the 19th to the 21st of November.
Yeah, so
And
next weekend.
Next weekend, pretty much. That's right, and that's
Thursday to Saturday.
And that's 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thursday and Friday, and then you've also got some 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and the older 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday as well, isn't it?
Yes, yes, 100%. And it's, come whenever you want. So whatever session you buy a ticket for, you can, come anytime in that 3 hour
You can just
time
drop in.
period. Yeah, drop in, drop out, drop back in. Leave for a bit to have a cry, whatever works for you.
Well, that's just one of the great things, isn't it? That you can turn up late and you don't have to worry about anyone seeing you come in. It's that classic thing of if you're late, you're like, God, everyone's going to see us come in now. We might as well just not bother.
Yeah, no, totally. That's always the the big decision.
So
Should we just not bother? Yeah.
You can drop in and then you can leave early without like feeling like you have to say goodbye to everyone and not have to hurt anyone's feelings from leaving early either.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of options here.
Yeah, it seems like that classic thing of finally there's a club for introverts as well, and the twist is it was inside their house the whole time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally.
Look, that's sounds really interesting, Ebony. My girlfriend's a bit of the quiet type. Maybe I'll drag her along to one of the sad disco sessions.
That would be awesome.
One thing that's good for me is I got her into the musician Steven Wilson. I like him because he's like a big prog guy, big music production nerd. He'll do all this stuff in different time signatures, all that. My girlfriend, I think, just likes him because his music sounds sad. But,
okay.
Yeah, it means that we have a shared common interest there, and it just shows how sad music can bring people closer together.
Well, yeah, no, totally. I think, and if that's her vibe, then yeah, totally. This is the show for her. So, it'd be great if you guys could come along. Would love to have you there.
All right, I'm just gonna to wind us out here. That you may not be able to really hear it, but you'll just have to check out the stream at the end.
Cool.
I've got the music looping, so hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I'm going to do a bit of a lead here on this music, and we can round things out there.
Okay.
Now you can't hear that, but that is some very nice lead work that I've got going on. You'll have to check out the stream again at some point. We'll see if it's actually come through because we got a black screen on OBS, but it is picking up the desktop audio. So you'll see when I reach over to the MIDI keyboard and put that down. So
all right.
We've reached the hour here, just about. Yep. So I'll let you go. I'm being mindful of time. I'll let you know once this is up. The YouTube's going to have to do a little bit of processing, and then from there, hopefully you'll be able to share this around, and people can get a better sense of what you do and what Love Me, Please Love Me, sad disco place is all about.
Yeah, no, awesome, and it would be great. Send me any of your info as well if you have a Facebook page or whatever, and I can.
Yeah, sure. Don't worry.
Tag you in things I share or whatever. So,
don't worry. I've got the link to my friend's show in the description as well. I never miss an opportunity.
Awesome. Great. No, I'm excited. We didn't even get to talk about that, so I'll have to look into it.
Oh no, this is all. I'm doing this for other people right now, so that's fine.
Very kind.
But thanks